Have you ever been so angry or so upset with someone in your life that you've hung on to anger, fear, resentment, shame because of the experience that happened, that made you feel? Maybe it was a previous relationship where someone did something really bad to you, or maybe a relationship with a parent that things did not go the way you wanted, and the way that you grew up was in a really difficult situation. And I've learned through just research and also talking with my clients that a huge thing that can set you free is forgiveness. Now, I know that it may be very difficult to forgive a previous partner for laying their hands on you or cheating on you, or a parent for doing similar things, or someone in business from going behind your back and stealing money from you that takes away from the security of yourself and your family. And it is very challenging, or could be very challenging, to forgive in these situations. But when you hold on to resentment for that, really you're drinking that poison. Tony Robbins talks a lot about this, is, when you have that hate and you're harboring that hate, that's not the person that you hate that's actually drinking that poison. It's you. And you feel that and you harbor those feelings. So today I'm gonna, talk about some examples of people who have transformed their lives, people that I love and respect, and maybe you've heard their names too, and even include a story of my own. So the first person I'm gonna talk about is Wayne Dyer. So Wayne Dyer, probably many of you have heard of him. He is a beautiful spiritual being, so much knowledge, and he's given so much wisdom to the world, and he lived such an amazing, inspiring life filled with so much love, gratitude, joy. You can tell when you listen to him, when you see him, a very authentic person. And he talks about what really got him into everything, that opened up his eyes. So up until he was 35, he said he actually tended to have a lot of unhappiness, a lot of resentment. He was actually an alcoholic up until the point that he was 35, surprisingly enough. And so he talks about this experience where he was going to his father's grave because he grew up an orphan. He grew up in the orphan system in Detroit, and he had a lot of anger and resentment towards his dad for abandoning him. And so he heard that his dad was dead, that he had passed away maybe like 5 or 10 years before that he actually heard it, and he heard where he was. So he went to the grave, and he was going there to spit on the grave, to give that hatred to his dad for not being there for him. And so he went there to do that. And when he went there, it actually overcame him that he did not have that hate. He could not, it just kind of hit him at that time that he actually had love and pity for his dad at that time, because his dad was obviously in a lot of pain. His dad was in a lot of pain to not be there for him and to not be a great dad, and because he's gone through his own challenges and struggles in life. And he was able to go there and overlook his dad's grave and actually feel love for him in the very first time, true deep love. And what an incredible experience he said it was. And after that, he talks about that being the real experience that changed his life, that changed the way that he views the world, that led him to becoming the person he is and the impact that he's had on this world. Another beautiful example, I watched a Lewis Howes podcast with a Holocaust survivor. I'm forgetting her name off the top of my head, but I can put the link to it in the comments or in the description. And so she talked about when she was there in the Holocaust, she had this love inside of her and this will to survive. And a big part of it was that she looked at the guards and she had pity for the guards. She had love and empathy for them because they were the ones that were imprisoned in their own heads. And so she was trapped there. She was, actually imprisoned physically, but mentally she was free because she realized that she could control her own mind. She realized she could control her own emotions. And so she actually gave love and forgiveness to the people that were entrapping her at that time and killing her friends and her family. I mean, that is incredible stuff and really inspirational and freeing. Another person that embodies this principle is Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela, many of you have probably heard, he was imprisoned in South Africa for 22 years during the apartheid system. And when he got out, he could have had that rage and that vengeance to, imprison the people that imprisoned him. But he knew to forgive. He knew to feel that love. And he had that love and empathy for the people that imprisoned him. And that led him to become the leader of South Africa, become the prime minister or president of South Africa, coming in and actually did one of the best jobs of, post-segregation integration that we've ever seen, in the world, because he was able to bridge the gap of both sides through love. And so we see all these inspirational people, and obviously they live with this sense of love and joy and purpose like we've seen them. And we may not all be quite at their level, but we can incorporate these principles into our own life in the way that we can do it, right? And I've seen this with clients that I've worked with. I've seen this with people healing relationships with their parents, with abusive parents. I've seen the people healing their relationships with ex-partners, romantic partners. And you don't need to become, best friends with the person that you're forgiving, or even necessarily have a relationship with them moving forward. You are feeling that internal forgiveness and you are giving that love to them from within yourself. And it's okay to have boundaries with those people, right? You don't need to become best friends with them or have a relationship. But when you love them and forgive them, even if it's from afar, you are gaining so much love and light and power within yourself. And instead of drinking that poison, now you're probably just drinking a nice old orange juice, right? And it's gonna taste good and it's gonna taste sweet and it's gonna give you some energy and it's gonna be beautiful. Another example, from my own life, my own experience was, I was doing business and I had this client and, I had a written agreement with him. This is in real estate, written agreement with him to broker him this deal. And what ended up happening was he went to someone else to go directly to the seller to get the building under contract. And then he had that person that he had go under contract assign him the building, which more or less means he had an agreement with me, but then he went around my back to cut me out of the deal, so he didn't need to pay the commission. And so I met up with him, talked to him. Conversation did not go well. He got very aggressive. And so I just walked away. I let it be, right? And my commission on that deal would have been $100,000. And so I walked away. I let it be. But after that experience, I sent him love virtually. Like, not actually. I haven't spoken to him since. But I sent him love because obviously, if you're doing stuff like that in business or in life, you're coming from a place of scarcity or insecurity, and there's pain associated with that. And so for me, just to have that empathy, and I was learning these concepts. Like, I think I listened to Lewis Ho's podcast before with the Holocaust Survivor, and I was like, man, like, how can I incorporate it in my life, but digesting this information opens it up so I have the tools to comprehend. Because guess what? I could have been mad and upset and all this stuff, but then it's just like swallowing poison. And if you're in business, and I coach executives, and I've been in business plenty myself in terms of real estate, there are times that come up, especially in real estate, like dealing with contractors and this and that, where sometimes things don't go the way that you think. Sometimes people take actions out of scarcity that I am not aligned with ethically. But staying and harboring resentment and anger, it doesn't serve me, and it doesn't serve the people around me, and it doesn't serve the people that I love. And so we've seen this with incredible, beautiful people in life. And I really choose to take that role, or not take that role, but like learn from them for myself and my own actions, and then also help my clients and help you guys on your path. And so that's something that you can look at today, is where can you incorporate forgiveness in your life? Where have you been harboring resentment or hate towards someone that's done something to you? No matter how painful the experience is, because when you allow that to come up, and when you are able to forgive, and when you are able to look at that person with empathy, I think is like a real beautiful way to do it. And understanding that for that person to inflict that pain unto you, they needed to be in a bad spot. Like, pain inflicts pain. And so you can probably look and be like, how did they grow up? How did their parents teach them to act? What did their parents do to them? In terms of like, a lot of times, like, people that do abuse got abused in whatever sense or form, right? And can you look at that and look at them and be like, man, like they really suffered a lot. That same suffering that you might be going through, they maybe went through that same suffering. And so you can heal it within yourself by forgiving them, by forgiving yourself, and just showing that love to those people. So spend a little time today on forgiveness. I love you guys. I'll see you on the next video.